Okay, so Revelation 13:11, that says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, meaning that he was speaking like a dragon, and he spake as a dragon. Or he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So we presently at the onset of the reign of the Antichrist, who is the first beast. This is the midpoint of the tribulation period. We see a second beast rise from the earth. What does it mean to rise from the earth? It means he is earthly and therefore he is not an angel, right? So in contrast to the first beast that rises out of the sea, the second beast rises out of the earth. This had led some to suppose that he will come up from the underworld of departed spirits, and others have made this to mean he will be a man resurrected from the dead. This beast is Antichrist's right-hand man. So you appear on the world scene like a lamb. I want you to pay attention to this. You appear on the world scene like a lamb, but he shall speak like the dragon. That means he shall speak like the devil. Yet ye appear on earth like a lamb. Does that ring a bell to what's going on here? That should ring a bell. You appear like a lamb, but you will speak like a dragon, right? I want you to really take note of that. So you actually be a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? So the second beast in this chapter is called the false prophet. That's in Revelations. You'll find that in Revelations 16 verse 18, Revelations 19 verse 20, and Revelations 20 verse 10. This means that he shall be a religious leader. I have said this in the past. This means that he shall be a religious leader. So Christ warned of false prophets and said they will come. He said that they will come. In Matthew 7 verse 15, verse 15 to 20, Matthew 24 verse 23 to 26. He is called the false prophet because you influence the world through the potency of a false religion. Revelation 13 verse 12, it says, and ye exercise all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. We talked at length about this one. So the second beast shall have full authorization to exercise the power of the first beast. So the chief agenda of the second beast shall be to deceive and blackmail the world to worship the first beast, who is the Antichrist. So when Pharaoh, remember, opposed Jehovah, the God of the Jews, he was aided, if you remember, by Jannes and Jambres, his magicians, who sought to compete with Jehovah in the administration of miracles. So what used to happen is that whenever Moses will do a miracle, Jannes and Jambres and the magicians would actually do exactly the same miracles. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 8, it says, now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds probate concerning the faith. So Balak, if you remember, Numbers chapter 22, Balak, king of Moab, he recruited Balaam as he sought to destroy Israel. If you remember that story, whereby he recruited him. He was a priest, meaning that he wanted him to curse Israel. We also see Absalom, the son of King David. He was aided by Ahithophel, who was one guy whom his father really trusted. He aided Absalom in his attempt to topple his father from the throne of Israel. That's the guy whom David put his trust in. That guy, he was a man of wisdom. We see that in the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verses 12 to 31. So the wicked king of Israel, Ahab, if you remember, had Jezebel as well, who hated the foreign priests of Baal. She was Jezebel. She was a priest of Baal. Yes, she was a woman. So the last Antichrist will also have the false prophet as his special aid. Just like Ahab had Jezebel, Absalom had Ahithophel. We are also going to see that the Antichrist will also have his own special aid coming in the name of false prophets. So Revelation 13, verse 13, it says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So miracles, guys, are going to happen. So in his work of deceit, he shall do great miracles and will call fire to come down from the sky in the sight of people. He will perform his miracles in the sight of the first beast, or as the first beast watches and approves. So we need to be careful. Revelation 13, verse 14, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, but the beast lived. He didn't die. So the second beast shall deceive those that dwell on the earth through the miracles he will perform in the sight of the first beast. You remember, how many people remember when God was delivering the children of Israel? How many people remember that God was doing miracles, great miracles? And those same miracles he was doing, the magicians, they used to do exactly the same miracles. They would copy exactly what God did. This should be a lesson to all of us to understand. Don't just follow a pastor because he or she does miracles. You got to discern. You must know. You must know. Because he also has his counterfeits. The devil also can do miracles too. Amen. So, through the deception of lying, wonders of the false prophet shall cause the people of the world to make an image to the beast whose deadly wound was healed. So the image is to be made to the beast that had the wound by a sword and did live. We have seen that the wounded head is not a person, but a kingdom. But since we have established that the king and the kingdom are terms that are used interchangeably, then the image could either be that of the kingdom or of the Antichrist himself. Revelation 13, verse 15 says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So the issue here is that the false prophet will give life unto the image of the Antichrist. We have talked about this in the past. And then the image will speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. The saints of this time will refuse to worship the image of the beast, and for that refusal, they shall be killed. Remember, we are talking about those who shall enter with their own blood, right? The church is gone, the rapture has taken place. These are the people who shall remain here on earth, who should concern themselves with these things that are going to happen. But they will refuse to worship that image. Revelation 13, verse 16, it says, He causeth all, but both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? So the false prophets will introduce a mark. Come on, we are getting to the interesting part. So the false prophets will introduce a mark which he calls the people of the world to receive. This mark shall be implanted on the forehead or on the right hand of every person. So the devil has nothing original, remember. He is a hopeless imitator. The placement of the mark on the forehead or right hand is an imitation of God's injunction, remember, to the children of Israel to bind his words for a sign upon their hands and as the frontlets between their eyes. Amen. Sorry about that. So this will happen. It's an imitation. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6 to 8. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6 to 8. If you read it, it talks about God that is going to put a mark on his people, right? So all classes of people on earth, designated as small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, shall be made to receive this mark. Revelation 13, verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, except for the person who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Amen. So no man will be able to buy anything. No man will be able to sell anything unless he has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So no practical undertaking shall be possible without that mark. No one will be able to conduct any business requiring the use of money except he has the mark. So it is evident that the mark of the beast shall regulate a new monetary system based on a single world currency. This is where you hear the issue of one currency. When we talk about the issue of currency, that's the system that shall regulate the buying and selling. That's this world currency that shall come, one world currency. Others are already talking about the Bitcoin. I think you've heard about it. Well, it's just I would say it's just a practice for what is possible, cryptocurrency or whatever. It's just a practice of they're setting a platform for what is yet to come. But we are already seeing those things. And as we study the book of Revelations, we need to think about what is going on right now. So it is evident that the mark is the one that will enable people to do trade. Apart from his duties as chief minister of religion, the false prophet will double as governor of the world's exchequer. So the mark will govern the function of the world's economy and trade, right? And at the same time, make the recipients subservient to the beast. Is that making sense? At this time, that mark is introduced, the world would have gone into an unprecedented economic recession. So we must recall that the sealed judgments of the first 3.5 years will have an adverse effect on the world's economy, with inflation at all time getting high. They'll be very, very high. So the mark will therefore be introduced as a new remedy for the world's economic collapse, yet at the same time serving the beast's evil ambition of bringing every man on earth under subjugation. So the Bible gives 3 designations to the mark of the beast, right? That number 666 we talk about. It is called number 1, the mark. Number 2, it is called the name of the beast. Number 3, it is called the number of his name. So these are 3 designations given to the mark of the beast. So some Bible students perceive 3 distinct things in the mark of the beast: the name of the beast and the number of his name. But it appears from the text that the mark of the beast is that which is explained as the name of the beast and the number of his name. So here is wisdom. Revelations 13:8, let him that has an understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, right? So the phrase here is wisdom, is not to be understood as meaning one should first acquire wisdom, but that the wisdom is already furnished. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. It is a statement assuring the sincere seeker of the truth that it is possible for him to count or to compute the number of the beast, for it is the number of men. It is not a number of some celestial being. Rather, it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So the actual name of the beast may not be known by some computation, but when he comes, you will be identified. So the number 666 represents man's attempt at self-defection. The number 6 falls one short of the perfect number 7. So man always falls short in his attempt to become God, no matter how loud his claim may be. Antichrist will actually claim that he's God and will demand worship. We see that in 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 4. Indeed, the unsaved of the tribulation period will worship him. Revelations 13, verse 8. But of course, you will never become God. So 666 constitutes a diabolical trinity, or a diabolic trinity, imitating what? The triune God, and comprising the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. We say that in Revelation 16, verses 13 to 16. Again, the number is said to be the number of men. Man was created on the 6th day. The same number 666 is associated with one other man in scripture, and that man is King Solomon. We see that in 1 Kings 10, verse 14. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 606 talents of gold, right? So as the number 666 concerned trade and commerce in King Solomon as kingdom during his time of reign, it will concern the same in the kingdom of the Antichrist. This is where Christians and believers need to open their mind. This is where the spirit of discernment comes in place. Amen. That's the wisdom and illumination and an understanding that we are talking about here. So, like I said, that it's in his kingdom, in his kingdom, Solomon, he also used the same number. So when Nebuchadnezzar became the king of Babylon, when he sought to deify himself, he set up an image in the plain of Dura. So the image was a prefigure of the false prophet of the tribulation, which will be erected for the Antichrist. This is a resemblance that is really, really striking, and you worry about it when you look at the scriptures. That's in Daniel chapter 3, verses 1 to 7. Firstly, people were commanded to worship Nebuchadnezzar's golden image or be killed. Remember the story. So the false prophet will similarly compel people to worship the image of the Antichrist or be killed. That's in Revelation 13, verses 14 to 15. Secondly, the number 6 featured prominently in the image of Nebuchadnezzar. It was 60 cubits high, which is 6 by 10. 6 cubits wide, Daniel chapter 3, verse 1. Thirdly, at the sounding of name 6, named musical instruments, all people were to fall down and worship Nebuchadnezzar's image or be cast into the furnace of fire for not doing so. We see this in Daniel chapter 3, verses 4 to 6. Lastly, for refusing to worship Nebuchadnezzar's image, the 3 Hebrew men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were thrown in the fiery furnace. Similarly, for refusing to worship the image of Antichrist, Israel, as well as other saints, will be persecuted and killed. Revelations 12, verse 17, Revelations 13, verse 15 to 16. So the word of God warns in very strong terms against receiving the mark of the beast. Revelations 14, verse 9 to 11. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man with the beast and his image receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. So the word of God also commends the faithful to not receive the mark of the beast. We see this in Revelation 20, verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them. The judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, and neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. So I must stress that the mark of the beast is something that will be introduced to the world by the false prophet on behalf of the Antichrist midway in the tribulation period and not before that, okay? So the rapture would have taken place by then. What we witness today, suggesting that the mark has come, is just but a dress rehearsal of that which is yet to come. This is why I said, as believers, we need to be careful and we need to have a deeper understanding of what is happening around this time. This will bring me to the end of chapter 13. Hallelujah. We're going to move to chapter 14. Amen. We're going to move quickly to chapter 14 of the book of Revelation. Okay, Tonde, go ahead.
Thank you, Pastor. I was going to make a comment that, I mean, like when you're talking about like the devil always counterfeiting everything that God does. And I mean, I think I remember the other time when I was taking like some religion classes, they used to teach us about like the tales of five of like Mesopotamia that tried to.
Your phone, Tonde.
Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Your phone?
I think maybe my internet connection
We
is.
can hear you now.
Oh,
Try
you can hear
again.
me? Oh, okay, yeah. So I was just saying that there's some like ancient text that gets compared to like the creation in Genesis. So it's like the devil tries to create counterfeit of what God has done to try and make the things that God has done to look like they are fairy tales and they are not real, and we get dissuaded from the truth. So I just wanted to make that comment. I thought it was very interesting that you brought out that idea that the devil always counterfeits what God does and deceives us.
Yeah, you are right. Counterfeits. The devil always do that. He always do counterfeit. I always tell people when you are praying for something, you got to be very careful. You need the spirit of discernment. When you are asking something from God, there is a possibility before you get the original thing, the devil will first bring a counterfeit. And you've got to be very careful. Have a discerning spirit, because a counterfeit just comes so that you miss the original thing that is on the way, that is coming to you. So you've got to be careful. Don't just settle. When you're asking God for something, ask, discern, is this the real thing or this is a counterfeit? It happens a lot, especially when we are asking something from God, even for praying for a job. You bring a counterfeit, but you've got to be careful. You got to discern, is this the real thing that God, is this the best that God has for me, or this is from the devil? Be careful. A counterfeit will always run ahead of the real thing. That's powerful, Tonde. Thank you. Marianne?
I have a question when you mentioned the diabolical trinity. So I have the Antichrist, the false prophet, and who's the third one?
You have what?
The Antichrist, the false prophet, and I think you mentioned the third one. I don't remember.
Who wants to help you? Who was listening? Who was listening?
Satan.
Who was listening? Let's give you 3. She has 2. The triune.
Yeah, and then Satan, because then it's Satan, the Antichrist, and then the false prophet. That's the diabolical trinity, just like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Trinity. Holy Spirit, I mean, sorry.
Yes, the beast himself. The beast himself. You will be the third one. They will imitate everything. The devil will imitate everything. He will imitate. So we need to just be careful. Amen. Okay, do we have anything else? Can I safely transition into chapter 14? Okay, I guess silence means contented. Okay, let's look at chapter 14.
My video is not working.
It's okay.
My question goes, many people are believing that this COVID vaccine is the mark of the beast. But now, according to the teaching you have taught us, rapture has not yet taken place. So how can many people are having the notion that the vaccine is the mark of the beast? So
Yeah,
how can you explain to us?
according to the book of Revelation, from what you are reading in your own Bible, do you think it is the mark of the beast according to these teachings?
No, Pastor.
Thank you. So that's why I said, let's read, let's follow what the scripture is saying so that we have a clarity of what is going on. Yes, it could be a preparation for something else. There are so many theories going out there, and I wouldn't want to impose my own theory, but I could buy into certain things like altering of the DNA, the kind of thing. I might end up, I think for myself, that's the philosophy I might buy, but I'm not saying that's a true philosophy. But I'm saying personally, I'm human, I'm also allowed, right, to speculate. So personally, that's what I'm speculating to say. Yeah, something to do with altering of the DNA, that kind of thing. Yes, I think so, but it cannot be the mark of the beast according to the scriptures. Can be.
Pastor,
Yes, Odia.
Pastor, I was just going to say, I think it's so interesting how you said that the devil can pervert this kind of mark, that this 666 was scriptural, because I never knew that 666 was associated with Solomon. So I just wanted to just say that was a big revelation for me.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks, Odia. Yes, that was great. Just looking at other things, it has happened in the past. So yeah. It's not new. Okay, guys, I'm going to transition into chapter 14. If we can open our Bibles to the book of Revelations 14. Yeah, we're going to talk about the 144,000 with Christ on Mount Zion. We are still in the fourth parenthetical section of our Apocalypse, inserted between the sounding of the seventh trumpet and the pouring out of the seven bowls of the wrath of God. Don't forget. So Revelation 14 verse 1, it says, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. This is why I think we need to understand the book of Revelation. Otherwise, you'll be so confused if you don't understand. Right now, we just heard about the mark of the beast on the forehead and on the right-hand side. And we also heard a scripture talking about a mark, God's mark in Isaiah. God is going to mark his people on the right hand again. And now we are hearing God again is going to mark his own 144,000 with the mark on the forehead. So you got to understand, which mark are you talking about? That needs clarity so that you don't confuse. But it shows there's something very special about the marks, about the thing called marking. This is a very important thing to always look at. So John beholds a lamb standing on Mount Zion, right? So the lamb is Jesus Christ. The lamb is one of his designations in Revelations. So Revelation 5 verse 6, I'm going to give you quite a number of scriptures, and I'm going to ask us to read some of them. But I want you to understand, we have read Revelation 5 verse 6 and verse 8. Verse 13, Revelations, we read chapter 6 verse 1. Then Revelation 16. Then we also read Revelation 7 verse 9. Then you are going to remember Revelations 10, Revelations 14, and Revelation 7, verse 9, 10, 14, and 17, right? Then you look at Revelations 12, verse 11. Then you look at Revelations 13, verse 8. Then you look at Revelation 15, verse 3. I hope you are writing. Revelations 15, verse 3. Then you come to Revelation 17, verse 14. Revelation 17, 14, right? This is okay. Revelations 19, verse 7. And verse 9, okay? Then you go to Revelation 21, verse 14, verse 22, verse 23. Then lastly, Revelations 22, verses 1 to 3. So with this lamp, it says, with this lamp are 144,000, right? So these are the 144,000 here. The same group as the 144,000 of Revelation 7, verses 1 to 8, or a different group. So it is the assertion of some of that, since the definite article is missing in the mention of 144,000 in Revelation 14, verse 1 to 5. So while it is present in the mention of 144,000 in Revelation 7, verse 1 to 8, then again the 144,000, here it's a different group to the 144,000 mentioned in Revelation 7, verse 1 to 8. So there are two groups of the 144,000, but there is no valid reason to suppose that the 144,000 here are a distinct group from the other 144,000 of Revelation 7, verse 1 to 8. So the 144,000 of Revelation 7, verse 1 to 8 are sealed on their foreheads. Revelation 7, verse 3. And the other 144,000 of this chapter 14 have the Father's name written on their foreheads. I hope this makes sense. So in Revelation 7, the 144,000 are mentioned in connection with their earthly ministry. Amen. And they are pictured with the Lamb on heavenly Mount Zion after their earthly ministry is over. Can I ask, okay, number 1 is going to be Piola, 2 Tonde, 3 Tapiwa, 4 Yeve, and Alori. For now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5 of you. Can we do number 1? Give me Revelation 7, verse 1 to 8. Number 2, give me Revelation 5, verse 6, verse 6 and verse 8, and verse 12 and verse 18. Please write it down. Revelation 5, I just want verse 6, I want verse 8, I want verse 12, and verse 13. That means you're going to skip other verses. Then you read me, the next one, you're going to read Revelation 6, verse 1, and then you also read Revelation 16. The one who is reading Revelation 6, verse 1 and verse 16, those two. How many are you now? 4, right? 1, 2, 3. The fourth one, you're going to read Revelation 7, verse 9, 10, 14, 17. And then I will have the fifth one, Laureate. you are going to read Revelations 12, verse 11. Can we go? Let's find it very quickly.
Revelation 7, verse 1 to 8. After these things, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, on the sea, or on any tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea. And he said, do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads. And I heard the number of those who were sealed. 144,000 of the tribes of the children of Israel were sealed. Should I go on? Because now these are the names.
I gave you the ones to mark.
Mhm.
The ones to mark. Which ones are you marking? You need to mark those numbers because I'm opening other scriptures here for you guys.
Yes.
So the ones I gave you, you need to write them down.
Okay, so and then you had said to 8. So now it's just talking about the tribes.
I gave you 7, Revelation 7, verse 1 to 8.
Yes. And so on verse 5, it says, of the tribe of Judah, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Reuben, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Gad, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Simeon, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Levi, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Issachar, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Joseph, 12,000 were sealed. And of the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 were sealed.
Okay, the next one, Revelation chapter 5, verse 6. Then I saw a lamb looking as if it had been slain, standing at the center of the throne, encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders. The lamb had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. Verse 8, and when he had taken it, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of.
You know what, Tonde, let me interrupt. Let's go and read at home these verses because I might not be able to go far if you are to read all of them. I think, did you write all the verses?
Yes.
Okay, go and read those verses. Let's talk about them next week, but they're talking of the 144,000, right? So I urge all of you to go and read them. And then next week, if you have any question, but they should bring us together to understand about the 144,000. It looks like there are 2 groups, but let's continue. Let's continue and see whether we have, thank you for typing those in the chat. To those who didn't get all of them, please look in the chat. Thank you for doing that. So the fact urged by some of the company here is not introduced as the 144,000. It presents no grammatical reason for considering them distinct from the 144,000 of Revelation 7, as the best of Greek scholars agree. It's appearing like there are 2 groups of 144,000. So the insertion of the article is needless where the identification is otherwise so clear and would only tend to fix the emphasis at the wrong place. Nor could the article, if it was inserted, it would make the indications of identity any stronger than they are. So this company is not so important as to call for the same sort of designation as when reference is made to the Lamb, the living ones. So the elders and etc., the number in Revelation 7 is the same with the number here. So a number so remarkable and unique that we must have very clear reasons for supposing that it does not refer to the same parties in both instances, but no such reasons appear. So the 144,000 of Revelation 7 were to be supernaturally protected and preserved amid the plagues that followed. And the 144,000 of this chapter appear as persons marvelously kept and sustained under the consummation of those plagues, the Antichrist. So the history of the 144,000 in Revelation 7 is incomplete, taken by itself. So no object or outcome of the sealing is anywhere stated if not to be found in the passage before us. So the position these sealed ones were to hold, the relations they were to occupy as the specially chosen in their time. You know, like people who have been chosen during their time. And I mean, it's like they're all left like an untold story. It's like the chapter, nothing is really made clear, but neither can we find adequate reason for the mention of all of that special sealing without some continuation of the history given here. So that's with the entire confidence I say that the 144,000 on Mount Zion are the identical 144,000 sealed, one spoken in Revelation 7. There's just but one difference, that in Revelation 7, we see them in their earthly relations and special consecration. And here we see them with their earthly career finished and in the enjoyment of the heavenly award of their faithfulness. So the 144,000 of Revelation 7, as far as I can see, this is the same group of the 144,000 we see in this chapter, in Revelation 14. Maybe someone can read for me Revelations 14, verse 2 and 3. But I hope you understood what I'm saying.
Okay.
The other part is in the physical. I mean, that's my view. If we read the way we are reading it.
So, Pastor, I had a question, but I think you're clarifying it. Because when I was reading the verse in chapter 11, I guess when you said this is their earthly being before they were finally given, because I know in here they are sealed with the angels, but here now in this verse in chapter 14, it's saying that they are sealed with the Father's name written on their forehead. So, and then they have the lamp. So when you talk about them having in the presence of the lamb, and we know the lamb is Jesus Christ, so that means now probably they have done what they were supposed to have done. So now, okay, I guess it makes more
That's
sense.
the argument that would make sense,
Okay.
unless the someone has a different argument. Odia?
Oh, Pastor, I was going to say, I'm a little confused. Okay, so the 144,000, they're, returned back on earth. John sees them in a vision and they're there. They were in heaven, etc. And then they came back. You mentioned something, they finished their earthly duties and now they're in heaven. So during this time, this 144,000 that he sees, is the point of the author John to just let us know that heaven exists? Or like, I guess I'm kind of missing the point of the 144,000. Like, what's he really trying to bring out here?
I think you need to go back. I think around chapters 4, 5, right? That talks about the 144,000.
Right.
Chapter 4. You need to go back there and see, we talked about the 144,000, who they are and why their purpose to be here on earth and what they're supposed to accomplish. And then after that, what will happen? They will be preserved. How and where and what role they're supposed to play. They are the ones who shall take the evangelical duty on earth when the church is gone.
Got you. Okay.
The church
All right.
is going to be raptured in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, boom, the church is gone. Right? So
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
yes, the church is going up to chapter 3. From chapter 4, this is going to happen to those who have remained here, and yet rapture has taken place already. So we'll see the work of the 144,000. But the issue that was here, the argument was, is the same 144,000, the one that was preserved and told to evangelize on earth, is it the same group with this other 144,000 that we are hearing that they now had the name of the Father on their forehead? And
Sure.
I said, looking at it, yes, I can
It
say
does, yeah.
yes, I can safely say yes, it's the same group of the 144,000. Because
Got you. Okay.
first time they did whatever they did here on earth in their earthly bodies, and then after their time was up, they had to go before the Father and receive this Father's name on their foreheads.
Yeah, this is okay. Revelations is so complex. Okay, but I'm getting it. Thank you for the breaking down these metaphors. Okay.
We'll get there. And the key thing is to keep going back, listening to the notes where we came from, so that where we are going now, it's much easier to understand.
Yeah. And I think that's my disadvantage because I joined you guys kind of late, and I joined Bible study when you were like at chapter 7 or 8, I believe, right? So
I think Sunday is posted.
Yep. So he sent those to me last week, or not last week, the week before. So I need to go back and listen. Yep. So that's why I said I think I'm at a disadvantage. I need to go back and do those studies.
Yeah, you need to do that so that you'll be able to understand where we are now. It will be so much easier to just start in the middle. It will be very difficult. You might not, it will be complicated. This is why if someone joins to start today, they may struggle.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. Thank you.
Okay, so let me ask Tonde, can you read me Revelations 14, 2 and 3? Revelations 14, verse 2 and 3.
Revelation 14, 2 and 3. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. Verse 3. And then they sang as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth.
So a voice from heaven sounding as the noise of many waters and as the voice of great thunder is merged with the voice of harps, harping with their harps. These harpers sing a new song before the throne, which no man can learn except the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. This now confirms that the 144,000 are in heaven in this chapter. For the harpers who harp with their harps sing a new song before the throne, and the 144,000 sing along with them. So some scholars, mainly those of the historicity school, have held the opinion that the 144,000 are pictured with the Lamb on the earthly Mount Zion at the beginning of the millennium. They hold that Revelation 14 looks ahead to the millennium and looks backward to the beginning of the tribulation. They say that the 144,000 on the earthly Mount Zion will sing in harmony with the harpers playing the harps and singing in heaven. I must state that 144,000 are not on earth in this chapter, but are seen with the Lamb in heavenly Mount Zion. So the statement in verse 3 that the 144,000 were redeemed from the earth implies that they are in heaven. There is nothing in the text that hints that the 144,000 are on earth with the Lamb at the end of the tribulation or at the beginning of the millennium. So the Mount Zion mentioned in Revelation 14 is a heavenly one, for John heard the harpers harping with their harps, and they sang a new song before the throne. So we read that no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. So this is certainly a scene occurring in heaven. In no place is earthly Mount Zion mentioned in Revelation, and we find no justification for the suggestion that the Mount Zion of Revelation 14 is an earthly one. So the Lamb is never pictured on earth in Revelation. At his second advent, Christ will come to the earth from heaven, Zion, Romans 11, verse 26. So the parenthetical account of the 144,000 here shows that this select group will triumph against all odds, and they will remain faithful and loyal to God in the time of trial that is called the time of tribulation. So it is evident that the 144,000 will be raptured from the earth sometime before the end of the tribulation, when the seventh trumpet is sounded. So the tribulation ends with the second advent of Christ with all his saints. Jude 14 and 15. Zechariah 14, verse 1 to 5. And so the 144,000, as well as the other saints of the tribulation, will have to be in heaven before the second advent. Now we come to the purity of the 144,000. This is from Revelation 14, verse 4 to 5. Marian, do you want to read that one? Revelation 14, verse 4 to 5. Let's talk about the purity of the 144,000. Marian, read Revelation 14, verse 4 to 5. Is she asleep?
I will read, Pastor.
Okay.
Revelations 14, verse 4 to 5. It is these who have not defiled themselves with women, for they are virgins. It is these who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These have been redeemed from mankind as first fruits for God and the Lamb, and in their mouth no lie was found, for they are blameless.
So the 144,000, thank you, Yeri. The 144,000 are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. So this statement must be understood by symbolically and not literally, okay? So if the first part of this statement is taken literally, it would prove that they are all male. That is men. But then the next part of the statement would prove that being virgins, they are all women. So they obviously cannot be male and female at the same time. Thus the statement here must be understood symbolically. So the evident intended idea conveyed here is the purity of character and life of the 144,000. So in the Old Testament, idolatry was regarded as fornication or whoredom. Ezekiel chapter 16. The 144,000 must then be a group comprising men and women that have not polluted themselves with the idolatrous and immoral religious systems of the Great War of Revelation 17 and of the beast in Revelations 13. Because of their faithfulness to the Lamb, they follow him wherever he goes. They are the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. The word first fruits always indicates that there is more to follow. Thus, the 144,000 are the first to the Jews to be saved after the rapture of the church. Romans 11, verses 15 to 27. In their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. When Nathanael was introduced to Christ, remember, the Lord said of him, remember, if you remember, in John 1, I think verse 47, 46 or 47, Jesus said to Nathanael, behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom no guile is found, right? So during the tribulation, there will be 144,000 who will be like Nathanael, who will have no guile in their lives and in their mouth. Okay, let's take a breather. Are you understanding where we are going? Is this making sense for you? Is this making sense? Right. Are you understanding where we are coming from and where we are going? Are you connecting? You are connecting? All of you?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay connected, Pastor. I'm trying to connect the dots.
Thank you, Odie. All
Yes,
right.
Pastor.
So, Osei, what did you say?
I said I'm trying, Pastor, trying to follow, but I'm connecting. I just got to go back and listen again because I missed a little bit earlier.
I guess it will help you if you go back to read the teachings and to listen to the teachings. It will benefit you more than just trying to, take the whole thing and just try to just go. You'll find that you end up having nothing if just a little. So to glean from the whole book of Revelation, take time to go back and listen. One good thing that I encourage you to do, if we learn about Revelation 13, where we read today, I encourage you, take time to listen before next class. If you can listen once or twice, that is going to help you to connect the dots and you understand what is really going on. But if you try to say, I will do it next week or next week or next week, you will never catch up. I tell you, don't play other things in your car. Learn to play the book of Revelation. Use a podcast, Spotify, whatever. Try to just listen as you wake up in the morning, just as you are doing your house chores or something. Just try to play it. Let it sink in your spirit. Let me tell you the secret of the book of Revelation. A lot of people, their prophetic gifts or their spiritual gifts, they were enhanced in learning the book of Revelation. As you can actually see, it's a deep book. It's a very deep book. If you really immerse yourself in it, a lot of people, their encounters with angels, seeing heaven and seeing all those things, it was after understanding the book of Revelation. If you want to go to the next level, don't just come here and listen and just dismiss it. If you have a desire in your heart, if you really want to understand another level of spirituality, if you want to go to another level in your spirituality, let me tell you, pray, fast. Don't fast for many things. Just pray, set aside a day or 2 days a week. I would suggest that Wednesday, when you're coming for Bible study, pray that God reveal the book of Revelation to me. Teach me the secrets in this book. Open my spiritual eyes. I desire in an encounter. Don't mix it with many other things. Just put everything else away. Just focus to pray for the book of Revelation. Pray for an illumination. Open my mind. Give me revelation. Reveal to me the meaning of this book in my life today. All these things that we struggle with, you'll find that you will just, next time, if you are to teach someone, you will not even need your notes. You'll just be reading from chapter 1, explaining to people, explaining without going back to your notes. Maybe you just go for the reference backup verses. but you'll be able to connect the dots as you read the book of Revelation. It's one of the springboard to be sound spiritually. So I really encourage someone to really devote time to pray and to be dedicated to wanting to understand the book more. Any comment? Any questions today?
Oh, Pastor, a quick comment. So can we safely say now with the 144,000, when we're talking about them and the Lamb and before Christ, that like this is before them now getting their, maybe their crowns after doing their work here on earth?
Mm-hmm. I would safely say that. After, remember, they were already promised what is going to happen after their evangelism during the tribulation. God will preserve them, and whatever happens, the struggles, the whatever, but eventually God has already promised at one point they're going to be sealed, that the devil cannot touch them. Remember all those things we learned in the past. So, yeah. Any other question? Comment or question? What are you hearing if it's not a question?
Sorry, I have a fascinating comment. So are you telling, I was fascinated with this part. They're saying as it were a new song before the throne, before the four living creatures and the elders, and no one could learn that song except the 144,000, which is amazing because I always thought, I mean, like the angels and everybody, they pretty much know all the songs. But yeah, I thought that was fun, interesting.
So interesting song, yeah.
Hey, Pastor, where do the Jehovah's Witnesses then get? They use this 144,000, right? And they believe. I think it's a little they've misconstrued based off what you taught today. It's not them being in heaven, right? It's not 144 that's going to be in heaven. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it. When you go back, Odia, I talked about it, Jehovah's Witness.
Okay. Yep.
Story, and I talked about it's not even us. These are Israelites. It's not even us.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to write that down for the next time they come to my door.
Yeah, tell them it's not even you. This is the Israelites whom God is going to be using, those that has already been set aside. It's not even the church. It's not us Christians here. It's Israelites, the chosen people. They are preaching it the wrong way. I don't know where they get it from. Okay, if there are no more comments, I want to end here for tonight. Just to encourage all of us, when we come next week, we're going to try and finish Revelations 14. I don't know if we'll finish it, but we're going to try and see how far we will go. Let me ask Ose to pray today. Close with a word of prayer.